What's up, everybody? Welcome to the All Things MSP podcast. I'm your host, Justin Esgar. With me always is my good friend, podcast producer extraordinaire, Mr. Eric Anthony. Today, a special episode. What? This was recorded live. This is my presentation recorded live at IT Nation Connect, which happened in the beginning of November 2025, depending on when you're listening to this. It could have been a week ago, could have been a month ago, could have been 5 years ago. I don't know what you guys do at home.
But it's evergreen content.
But it is evergreen content, which is why we're sharing it with you. Yes, I did a presentation called Scared, Do It Anyway, Growth Lessons from the Edge of Your Comfort Zone. We're going to talk about how you can push yourself to grow your business. Really good interaction with people. It really kind of like brought about feelings. Now, the best part was, and this doesn't affect you because you're listening to this whenever you want, but I did this presentation at 9 a.m. So people came from breakfast and then were like, I want to get in touch with my feelings, and then join the presentation. So yeah, enjoy it. Let me know what you think. Check us out, facebook.com/group/allthingsmsp. Watch the presentation, youtube.com/@allthingsmsp. Like, subscribe, and then hit me up personally and tell me, what are you afraid of? I'm sure the answer is spiders, but you know.
Operating an MSP sucks. Gozinta is here to make it suck less. With their consulting services, they are your trusted advisors through every step of your MSP's journey, from startup to exit. And their software is crafted with care to ensure that they're solving problems for you and not creating new headaches. Find out more at atmsp.link/Gozinta. That's atmsp.link/Gozinta. Level up your email domain security and deliverability. Reduce business email compromise and reel in that pesky email phishing. Make DMARC a new revenue stream for your MSP. Becoming a managed service provider partner with EasyDMARC is a great opportunity for your business to boost sales and decrease risk. Your customers need DMARC. Your job is to let them know that their email domain might be at risk. Find out more today at atmsp.link/EasyDMARC. That's atmsp.link/EasyDMARC.
For coming. I know talking about feelings at 9 a.m. is then, everyone's cup of tea, but I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Thanks for coming to Scared, Do It Anyway. Growth lessons from the edge of your comfort zone. Hi, my name is Justin. We'll get into more about me later. So raise your hand if you've ever said to yourself, I'm not ready, but you did the thing anyway. Good. Now think about the times you said no because you weren't ready, and what did that cost you? What did you lose by not moving forward with your plan? That feeling, that exciting, gut-wrenching, gut-punching feeling is the fear of failure. And it's what we put on the edge of our comfort zones. And what you do next determines how far you and your business goes. Real quick, who here is, I'm assuming everyone, but everyone is, but who here is not actually an MSP? Anybody like vendor, sales, anything like that? Okay, cool. You'll get it. Everyone else will fall in place without a problem. Being the fact that the majority of you are in the MSP space, you realize that this is the norm because we're constantly being asked to adapt new technologies, client expectations, roles we didn't imagine ourselves being in. The challenge isn't just technical, it's personal. So real quick, who am I? Hi, I'm Justin. I'm a scaredy cat. Just kidding. I have conquered fear. I'm all these things you see on the screen, but more importantly, having conquered fear has allowed me to push myself forward and do things like this. I've had fear with numerous businesses, numerous ideas. I've succeeded, I have failed, I have net zeroed. But in all of those cases, I have pushed myself outside of my comfort zone to actually see those things through. So a quick anecdote, in 2015, I started my own conference, and I thought it was going to be the greatest thing to my community. And so I went year one, and I'll tell more about it a little later, but I went year one and I booked a hotel block for 250 rooms, and I sold 50 tickets to my conference. And for those who have never booked a hotel block, you have to pay for those rooms that you don't fill. And so $20,000 later, I was like, oh, I made a mistake. I'm never doing this again. But then I did. And now we're in our 12th year of doing the conference, and we're making profit, and every year it's growing. Another time, I'm very open and honest with where I have failed. Years ago, pre-Microsoft 365, pre-Google, there was a great piece of software in the Apple community called Now Contact. It was basically a shared address book for a company. And they went out of business. And I was like, I'm hot off the press of a really popular app that I made called Sign My Pad. And I was like, oh, I'm going to make the new Now Contact. And I spent a year building this piece of software and probably close to $80,000 in development because I wanted like these really cool features. And I sold one copy at $149. And so I could have stopped then and said, no more software, I'm never doing this again. But instead, I took those lessons that I learned, those people who I had met, and I kept going. We still sell a couple apps, but we've done other things since. You can't let fear stop you dead in your tracks to say, I'm never doing it again. Comfort zones are tricky. They whisper things to you like, stay here, it's safe and comfortable. But they're lying to you, all right? Staying comfortable feels good in the short term, but it limits your growth. Growth happens outside of that zone when you're stretched and you're challenged and you feel unsure. So I want you to do a little introspective here. What's your current comfort zone made of? Is it routines? Is it rules? Roles that you're good at? Is it familiar clients? Or is it tools that you've mastered? This isn't theoretical, right? Like, if you think about the biggest leaps forward in your business, you probably weren't 100% ready for them. You figured it out because you said yes first, not the other way around. And I will go on a limb to say that your comfort zone is probably the single biggest threat to your future success. I want you to think about what is one thing you've been avoiding doing simply because it doesn't feel safe yet. All right, another, because I want to get some blood rushing into your arms. Raise your hand if you ever said yes to a job or a client, walked out of the meeting, went back to your office, and immediately Googled how to do the thing they asked you to do. Look, growth never feels safe. I've launched a conference, I've guest starred on shows, I host a podcast, I've taken on clients I wasn't prepared for, and none of it felt like a sure thing. But I grew more in those uncomfortable leaps than I ever have from a spreadsheet or a strategic plan. And why? Because action builds clarity. Confidence comes from doing, not waiting. You don't become a leader just by reading about leadership. You do it by stepping into it, awkwardly, imperfectly, and bravely. And guess what? You're not a fraud. You are an entrepreneur. So, how do we make these leaps without totally freaking the hell out? Right? So I have what I call the 3-stage stretch model. Number 1, spot the stretch. What excites you but also makes you sweat? These are your stretch opportunities. They're usually hiding in plain sight too, right? Guest speaking, expanding services, hiring before you need to. Your second step is to reframe the fear. Don't ask, am I ready? Ask, will this help me grow? Most people think readiness is a prerequisite for action, but in reality, it's the other way around. And number 3 is say yes strategically. Look, you don't need to leap blindly into things. You can make micro action plans. What's the smallest next step you can take to test the waters and build momentum? This model, this very simplistic model of this, gives you permission to stretch without snapping. Because it's not about being reckless, it's about being intentional. So I'll use my conference that I talked about earlier as an example for the 3-stage stretch model. So number one was I needed to spot the stretch. At the time when I started ACES in 2015, there were about 7 or 8 Mac-based tech conferences. No one was talking about business. And I wanted to learn how to grow my business, not just learn new terminal commands. And if you couldn't tell, I'm an Apple guy. You can boo me later. So I reframed the fear. I wasn't a conference planner, but I knew my audience. I knew them through programs at Apple, and I could anticipate what they needed. And I said yes strategically. Despite my mistake about the hotel block, I actually went and I got validated interest from a lot of people before I even started doing anything. So I was at these other conferences being like, hey, would you be interested if there was a conference about business? Hey, would you be interested about this? Would you be interested? And I got enough people to say yes that gave me enough energy to be like, yeah, we're going to do this. And then I screwed up the hotel thing. But it was enough to get it moving. And it's grown since. So it's a very easy model to take on, and it allows you the ability to like do these things without losing your mind. I want you to think about a current challenge or opportunity that you're not taking action on right now. Something you may have said, I'm not ready for, or you keep putting off. Place it on this line here. Is it in your comfort zone? Is it in your stretch zone? Or are you panicking about it? There's 4 questions to think about from here. What would it take to move it back from panic to stretch so you're not freaking out? What micro actions could you take this week to nudge that forward? What would success look like if you nailed it? And the ultimate one, what is the cost of doing nothing? Those 4 questions? Sure. What would it take to move back from panic to stretch? What micro actions could you take this week to nudge forward in a positive way? What would success look like if you nailed it? And what's the cost of doing nothing? You're welcome. Fear does not equal failure. I want everyone to repeat that back at me. Ready? Fear does not equal failure. Wonderful. Look, we're humans, and I like to say this a lot. We have like lizard brains that have evolved. I've been corrected before that they're not really lizard brains, but I still go with it. And the thing is, like, we are wired to avoid risk. If you think about like cave people times, you heard a tiger in the distance and they weren't just like, hey tiger, check me out. No, they like ran to their cave because they were avoiding the risk of being eaten, right? It's in our DNA. It's been there forever. The problem with that is that in business, risk is where the ROI is. Just because something feels scary doesn't mean it's wrong. I'm going to ask a heavy ask here, which is that I want you to start seeing fear not as a red flag, but as a highlighter. It's pointing to something important. Fear is going to say, this might matter. This might change things. This might lead to a breakthrough. And if you're in a leadership role, whether you like it or not, others are watching how you respond to that fear. So what kind of example are you setting for everybody else? So here are some tools to stretch without snapping. I do love that you guys are taking pictures of my slides. Makes me feel good. Also, I think I uploaded them, so you might be able to download them somewhere. I'm not sure where. Number 1. Micro actions. Start with small micro actions. 1 LinkedIn post, 1 podcast guest spot, 1 scary client meeting. Baby steps. Number 2, build accountability. Tell somebody that you're doing something and have them hold you to it. Or build a small peer group. I'll give you 2 examples. One is obvious. The obvious one is always when you go tell your spouse, I'm gonna work out, and then you don't, and your spouse goes, how you doing there? Did you work out? And you feel like crap because you didn't do it, and you want to like impress them. The other one, and please don't do this. Somebody told me years ago that they were in a peer group for accountability, and the way they kept each other accountable was they all wrote $10,000 checks to an organization that they hated and gave it to someone else in the organization. And if they didn't do the thing that they were supposed to do, someone else mailed their check in. Don't do this. I was like, you're crazy. Can we just have burgers? Yeah, it was insane. I would never do that. But having someone to hold you accountable really does help. Debrief after. What worked? What felt awful? Bye. What'd you learn? Track those stretch moments and keep a running list up to the times you've said yes to discomfort and what the results were. Talk it out. Even if you're just talking to a duck. And repeat. Repetition builds tolerance. Discomfort becomes manageable. Just like in working out, day 1, you're not lifting 50-pound weights, but if you go every day and you work through it, you can get there. It becomes manageable. If you've done any of these recently, great. Pick one that you haven't done, write it down, and commit to doing something on this list in the next 30 days. That is me holding you accountable for being here, that you're going to do something here in the next 30 days. Don't wait to feel ready. Do something that proves you're capable, and that's how you rewire your identity. Speaking of rewiring, let's kill the myth that growth is linear. It's not. It's chaotic, it's messy, and it often feels like you're failing until you realize something. You are evolving. It really looks like, we said earlier, saying yes and Googling it later. Falling flat on your face at a live webinar or on stage and still getting a new lead. Being nervous to charge more and hearing yes. And it's about being bold before you're brilliant. What you don't see on that bottom squiggly line is the week I almost shut down my MSP. Or I lost a client because I overpromised and underdelivered. Or even the time I cried because I couldn't pay myself salary one month. It happens. But you push through and you can be better about it at the other side. I have an anecdote about a consultant who I was working with who was afraid to ask his clients, to tell his clients that he was going to charge more money. And so I was talking to this person and I said, what are you most afraid of saying that you're going to raise your rates? And they were like, what if my clients leave? And I said, okay, what happens if your clients leave? He's like, well, I got 3 months of clients that are like waiting to work with me. I was like, what are you afraid of then, man? And he went and he raised his rates and he retained 99.98 of his clients. He lost one client. And of the ones that he retained, the majority of them sent him an email going, I'm so glad you raised your rates. You are worth more than you've been charging us. And he was afraid. He was stuck. We talked for like 4 months before he finally pulled the trigger on it because he was just tripping over himself, just being afraid of doing this. And at the end of the day, he's now making more money, he's working less, and he's like way happier. And he's finally now expanding his business. So I have 3 challenges for all of you. Say yes to a speaking gig, even if it's a 5-minute lunch and learn. Take on a project that feels 20% too big, and pitch yourself to be a guest on a podcast or record a solo video. And if you've done all of these already, great. Stretch further. Start the podcast. Launch the thing. Mentor someone else who needs help through their leap. Stretching never stops. You just get stronger. Now, it wouldn't be a presentation of mine if I didn't make everybody do some sort of activity. So I would like you to pair up with somebody, preferably somebody you don't know. So if you came with friends, turn opposite ways. We're going to spend 5 minutes. I want you to tell your partner about a time you did something outside your comfort zone and it paid off, whether it was big or small. And I also want you to tell them something you know you should be doing in your business, but you're not because it is scary or unfamiliar. Okay? So a time that you did something that worked and it paid off, and something that you should be doing in your business, but you're not because it's scary. Okay? I'll give everybody 5 minutes, and yes, then I will ask you all to share, and we'll come around. Okay? I know many of you have your laptops, but I'm going to ask you to actually write this down with a pen and paper on purpose. Okay? I want you to write down, and I'll leave this up for a little bit. My next stretch move is insert your answer, and I'll do it by insert your answer. Put that piece of paper in your wallet, your bag, your purse, whatever, somewhere where you'll find it. When you get home, you put it in front of your monitor. The reason I'm asking you to write it down and not just type it is that there's some sort of muscle memory connection between your hand and your brain that we don't get just from doing this. When you write it down, it becomes more tactile, more real. So write this down, take it out, get it on your desk, and then just do it. We've had a couple great stories right now. Not terrible things happen. Like, we're afraid that, like, we're going to, like, failure is going to do what to us? Nothing. Like, you can do this. So write this down. My next stretch move is blank, and I will do it by blank. And hold yourself accountable, or find an accountability group, or pay someone $10,000 to a horrible, no, don't do that. You just hold it for me, is the point. Everybody has that written down? Fear doesn't mean stop. It means something meaningful is about to happen if you let it. The edge of your comfort zone is where your business, your brand, and your confidence begin to expand. You can build a business that you love, a brand that matters, and a reputation that opens doors. But you can't do it by staying comfortable. Now again, here, grab a picture. Now, it wouldn't be me if I didn't do a shameless plug. We're launching a new product called Virtua Care for MSPs. If you're afraid of doing Macs, reach out to me. We love Macs. We're an Apple consultant. We're an Apple Premier Technical Partner now. Contact us, and it's our way to help Windows-based MSPs feel confident about their Macs. No panic, no pain, no pressure. URL is there to find how to contact me. That said, if you want more help breaking out of your comfort zone, or you just want to talk shop or connect, find me online. I'm everywhere. Come chat with me after. And look, if you're out there and you're being bold and doing uncomfortable things, just know that I see you. Keep going. You're not alone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being brave.
Thank you for listening or watching the All Things MSP podcast. If you liked this episode, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Hit that like button and consider subscribing to catch all our weekly episodes. And from your host extraordinaire, Justin Esgar, and myself, Eric Anthony, your humble producer and All Things MSP founder, Thank you very much for spending your time with us. If you are not aware, All Things MSP started as a Facebook group and now supports over 6,000 members. We also have a LinkedIn page for those of you who don't do Facebook, and make sure to check out our YouTube channel for even more content. And a big thank you to our premier sponsors, EasyDmark, Helped, GoZinta, MoveBot, and Nodeware. And thank you to the rest of our sponsors. Without sponsors, we could not do what we do for the MSP community. Please consider checking them out. The All Things MSP podcast is a BizPow LLC production. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not reflect the thoughts and opinions of any employer, vendor, sponsor, or random taxi driver in the Metro DC area. Be sure to join us next week for another exciting episode.